Good day. You are listening to the Bloomin Bodhisattva podcast, brought to you by the Risho Kosei-kai Dharma Center in Oklahoma City. I'm James.
I'm Alex.
I'm Jocelyn.
And I'm Karen.
And we're
the Bloomin Bodhisattvas.
So for today's episode, we're going to continue to study the Paramitas. So we've gone through 3 of them. Do you guys remember what they are?
Forbearance.
Okay, so forbearance was last time. So what is that?
I got it. It's on the tip of my tongue. Sorry, I can only think about bear brain.
Yeah, so it is controlling your bear brain. But what does that mean?
Controlling like our instinctual reactions.
Kind of. Come on, Jocelyn. What is forbearance?
You're putting me on the spot.
Karen, what is forbearance?
Temper.
Yes, controlling anger.
Right.
Forbearance is about patience. Yes,
close.
it's your bear brain. Yeah, you guys are hitting all around it. Okay, so what was the first paramita?
Generosity.
Ah, very good. So donation, generosity, all that sort of stuff. Very good. And then no one can remember the second one. Do you remember the second one?
Keeping the precepts.
Oh, okay, very good, because we just went over that. Okay, but what does that mean? Keeping the precepts. What
You
kind
gotta,
of precepts?
you gotta maintain them.
Yes, that's what the word keeping means. Good. You did great with that.
Are you proud of me, Dad?
Precepts are things like, not killing or stealing or that sort of stuff. Rules to live by is what that means. Okay, good. We're definitely making progress. And so,
Are we?
yeah, so today we're going to continue with diligence. And then the next 2 are meditation and wisdom. And we'll just see how far we get today. All right, you guys ready?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So we'll start today with diligence. And so, all right, so what does the word diligence mean? What do you think?
It's kind of keeping at something for a while.
Yeah. Keeping on. Yeah, exactly. What else?
Everybody looked at me.
We kind of have an order.
We do.
Yeah.
I mean, just keep it on, keep being consistent.
Yeah, I like that, being consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Karen, what do you when you think about diligence, what do you think?
Perseverance.
Yes, and that's another good thing. And we used perseverance last time when we were talking about forbearance. Like perseverance is more like, struggle when things are getting difficult. Instead of losing your cool, you kind of keep at it. But perseverance here would be just being able to stay focused. And keeping, the whole thing going despite the fact that there are obstacles and distractions and all of that. So what is it that we're being diligent about here?
I forgot what word it was. Mm-hmm. The Dharma.
Yeah, sure. Spiritual development, kind of getting in touch with the Dharma. Now, why is that something we have to put so much effort into?
Because it's easy to slip up.
I mean, it's all about a lot of discipline.
Yes. I mean, and Buddhism is not this, super disciplined monastic thing where, you have to do all these rituals and stuff every single day.
But we still got to be diligent in our discipline.
Yes,
Yeah, you have to be patient with a lot of things.
Yes.
Or spiritual growth.
Yeah, exactly. And, and let's face it, we live in a world that is not exactly conducive to spiritual development. All right, we live in a world that is dominated by materialism, that sometimes seems like it's dominated by aggression and conflict. and that, is full of all kinds of distractions to kind of keep us off of the path. And it's not like we're trying to, separate ourselves out from the world and live in a cave or something. But at the same time, we do need to acknowledge that it does take effort to try to maintain spiritual awareness in a world that's really trying to distract us from it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So part of this, I think, is about intention. So setting your intention is very important in Buddhism because, remember, it's all about your mind. So what does that mean to set your intention?
We got to manifest those good vibes.
That's a great way, if not a little bit hippie way of looking at it. Sure. Good
Gotta stay
vibes.
groovy.
Yes, we do need to stay groovy.
Like, it's kind of, in a way, setting like a goal for yourself before you're doing something or you're going into something.
All right. And it's not the same as like, setting a goal that I'm going to walk, 10,000 steps today. It's a little bit more subtle than that. So what kind of goal are you setting?
What is my motivation for, doing this activity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What am I wanting to get out of it? And what's the reason for doing it?
That's really good.
Purpose.
So do you guys ever, before you're going into a situation, kind of take a step back, take a breath, and go, all right, I'm going to be okay. Or I'm going to do good. Or I'm going to, whatever. Do you ever have to do that?
Oh, all the time, every day.
Yeah.
Like, give me an example.
I really like to kind of, I guess, keep schedules in my head of like the little bullet points of what I'm going to do in the day, especially when it comes to school stuff.
Okay, so like having a checklist.
So I step in the building and I'm like, I'm going to go to this class, and then I'm going to go to this class, and I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to go home and, I don't know, eat a snack I'm looking forward to.
Okay, well, that's kind of a checklist. That's not exactly spiritual intention, although you could have that.
It was simply an example.
Okay, all right. So what do you do, Jocelyn?
I mean, for an example, right now in my life, I'm having some issues with, friends not respecting my decisions.
Oh.
And so, we're having a lot of back and forth. And so every time I'd go into a conversation with them or I'm, giving them whatever, I'm talking to them in this situation and going back and forth, I always set an intention that I'm going to make sure that I sound a certain way. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to be kind and cordial and straight to the point, but also, try to make sure I'm not letting my emotions get in the way of anything.
That's really good. Karin, do you have like a, kind of a morning ritual that you do? Sometimes people set their intention like first thing as soon as they're getting ready to face the day.
I don't have a ritual per se, but I just try to keep my mind quiet and not go, oh man, I have 1,000 things I need to get done, but just I'm going to get through whatever, I'm going to take care of whatever needs to be taken care of. That's, I set my priorities, but I think about what Jocelyn said, and when I find myself in the midst of conflict, my intention is to get through that conflict with my dignity intact, not lose it, and to offer grace or respect to the person I'm having, a disagreement with.
I really like that whole concept of grace, which is, kind of giving someone space to not be perfect. Mm-hmm. And, we do that for ourselves, and I think it's important that we do it for others. And it's a great way to, enter into an encounter with somebody with an attitude that says, they could slip up and it's going to be okay. And I can slip up and it's all right too.
We're all only human.
Yeah. And when we say we're only human, that means that not only are we fallible, but also that we have a good nature. And we need to kind of give each other that permission, to understand that you're a good person, and even if you're not necessarily acting like it right now. So
It's all about empathy.
Yeah, exactly. So a spiritual intention here in Buddhism, diligence is about, kind of every day going into every situation as a chance to increase your wisdom and awareness and your compassion. And that's the kind of diligence that we're talking about. And it does take effort, and we're not denying it. Although
Would
I do
you say it takes right effort?
yes, and in fact, you could really say that diligence and right effort are kind of the same thing.
Everything in Buddhism is kind of the same thing when you really get
Yes.
down to it.
Yeah, so, you remember you've got the Eightfold Path and you've got the Six Paramitas, but they're really one path. All right.
And one paramita?
Yes, well, they're all kind of part of the Fourth Noble Truth. And so the Fourth Noble Truth is both the Eightfold Path and the Six Paramitas, and so they're all considered kind of one thing in Mahayana Buddhism. All right, everybody got that?
Sure.
Okay, all right. So another thing that you're doing by setting your intention, and I really like the way that Karin talked about how it's not about having necessarily a list or an agenda or whatever, but it's more like finding a place of calm and then entering the world from that place. So here's how Nuwano put it. He said that overcoming obstacles, if you set your intention properly, they become nothing more than small waves rippling on the surface of the ocean. And I like that.
It all comes back to the ripples.
Yeah, and the fact that, once you've sort of expanded your awareness to really look at how all of the different, the interconnectedness of all things and how you're just kind of part of this big web of interconnected ideas, that it really kind of, it doesn't necessarily make you feel insignificant, but what it does is it sort of puts everything into perspective, where you realize that your personal drama is really kind of just that. And it makes it seem have less of an impact than it normally would. All right, does that make sense?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So now let's talk about the 3 types of diligence.
So
All
we got 3 paramitas left, 3 types of diligence.
Yes, try not to count too much, otherwise you'll get lost.
But it's all counting when it comes down to it.
As somebody who actually reads a lot of Buddhist scholarship, you have no idea.
Oh God, do they make more lists?
The lists within lists within lists. It's just endless.
Listception.
And it was there for mostly it's there for monks who are gonna study these things and meditate on them and
Got nothing
and all
else
that.
to do but memorize a bunch of lists.
Yeah, well, for us, they're helpful insofar as they help us kind of remember things. And remember, these lists are only that. They're mnemonic devices that kind of help us kind of keep track of different aspects of our spiritual life.
It's good to hear that, we Buddhists are so organized.
Yeah.
At least
yeah.
within the philosophy and religion.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
It's called organized religion for a reason, I would assume.
Oh, nicely done. So the first one is called armor-like diligence. And so this is where you're steeling yourself against distractions.
This is the disciplinary
Yes.
aspect of it.
Exactly. All right. So you are young people. Do you have trouble focusing?
Yes.
Yes.
It's probably something wrong with my brain, actually.
Yeah. It
What
could
was
also.
that, Dad? I wasn't paying attention.
Exactly. And so, we were talking about this before. We live in a very, a world full of distraction. And you've got phones and you've got social media and you've got other kinds of media and you've got all kinds of sights and sounds everywhere, and it is hard to focus. And so both of you guys and Karim, this is something, I know you have to do as well. If you're working on a project, say an artistic project, so what do you do to stay on track?
I don't.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Well, I mean, I guess I just take breaks
Okay.
a lot. Some of them I really shouldn't, but just come back to it. Or I, have people around me put a fire under my butt and get
Yeah.
me to do it.
Sure.
Give me a timeline or something or a deadline. I'm more likely to get it done.
Yeah. And college will do this to you as well. Like just force you. I mean, well, eventually it will.
Well,
As somebody who's dropped out 5 times, I sympathize.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a lot. It really is a lot, and you don't have a lot of external factors that are kind of keeping you on track. Karin, what do you do
Yeah.
to stay focused? Because, you do ceramics and music and art. And so how do you stay concentrated?
I have to mute the distractions and sometimes have to just tune it out altogether. Music can inspire us, but sometimes it can be a distraction too
Yeah.
when you're really concentrating and trying to, just be focused and diligent.
Yeah, exactly. So, Alex, what do you do to stay focused?
I don't.
And that's it. All right. Now, but I do know that it's something that you're working on.
Oh, yes, definitely. I have a lot of trouble with it. But for me, a lot of times when I start projects or like smaller, manageable projects, like I'm finishing an art piece or something, for me, this little part of my brain kicks in that goes like all or nothing. Mm-hmm. It's like once we're started, we have to continue this until it is done. And if we don't, it'll never get finished.
How's that working out for you?
Bad. It's not good. But I mean, I start some smaller projects, they get done.
Yeah. And of course, we all know and at probably different times we've been people who, our perfectionism interferes with our ability to, start or finish things. I know lots of students that just can't get through the first sentence of an essay because they keep rewriting it over and over and over again until it's perfect. It's like, good luck with that.
Isn't that like a symptom of gifted kids? Oh my God. Gifted kid syndrome.
Yes, that is absolutely part of it.
can-
Although I do kind of want to know what gifted kids are. They sound like little stuffed animals.
I had a little bit of a stroke there.
Okay, it's all right.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
So in a Buddhist sense, this kind of focus is really about not getting distracted by things that kind of throw us out of, what are the goals of Buddhism, which is trying to be in harmony with the Dharma and
Trying to stay in that Dharmony.
yes, Dharmony and also compassion. And all kinds of things can distract us from all of that sort of stuff. And so it's not necessarily about performing rituals on a regular basis. All those things can absolutely help. It's more about kind of shifting your attitude, to where you're going into a situation, reminding yourself, all right, I'm starting to get flustered here. Let me find a calm space of mind. Oh, I'm starting to get really pissed off at something that is really beyond my control. Let me kind of get back. I'm getting, distracted by materialism or, whatever it happens to be, and just trying to kind of bring a focus on spirituality into, all as many aspects of your life as you can until it gets kind of integrated into who you are and what you do. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Another thing I like is this this notion of stick with itness. So
Is that a word you made up?
no, I think it's stick to itiveness is kind of how it's usually said. So the way Nawano puts it is like a decision with fortitude, which I kind of like. When we make decisions, a lot of times we have a tendency to second guess and overthink. Does that happen to any of you guys?
Oh yeah.
Oh, definitely. It's every day.
Yeah.
Every
and
second.
so do you let yourself, can you just get completely derailed from what you like? So you had an idea and you're going to do the idea and then you go, oh, but what if this? Oh, and what if that? And what if that? And then you're not doing anything at all. It can be paralyzing, right?
Yeah.
And so, diligence means, okay, make a decision and understand that even though if things don't go right, that's okay. I'm entering into it with the best of intentions. And if things look like they're going wrong, all right, that's fine. I will kind of change, tactic at that point, and be patient with yourself as you go through with it. But kind of, constantly fumbling over your own mind is something that we really try to work on in Buddhism. Karin, did you have something you want to add?
No, just I can overthink very easily and turn something into something insurmountable in my head
Yes.
that isn't even real, and that can also prevent me from starting a project or something too, but we just frame it. It really is all perception and how we view it, and the way to carry out that goal is to break it down into its simple baby steps, phases. But I can talk myself out of doing stuff just because they seem impossible all of a sudden because I've talked myself out of it. But we ruminate and
Yes, rumination is, yes. Does everybody know what rumination is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just thinking thought loops over and over and over again.
Forever.
Yeah.
And ever, and they never end.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Buddhism is going to help us get out of these little habits of mind that, that kind of keep repeating themselves. And also to get at what Karin was talking about, when you break down a big, seemingly insurmountable goal into a lot of little baby steps, that's the way to do spiritual development as well. And guess what? That's what all of these lists are really for, is breaking down these things into little baby steps so that you can concentrate on it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, the next one is called the Diligence of Applied Work.
Whoa.
All right, and this is another form of stick with itness, where you're saying, all right, I'm going to have tasks that I do that I can actually get through, and I'm actually going to apply diligence to things going on in my daily life. And so one of the things that this brings us to is a concept in Buddhism called skillful means. Now, have we talked about this very much?
I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast, but we have definitely talked about it in our, I guess, bi-weekly studies.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. So do you have a kind of a definition of what you think skillful means is about?
I guess just kind of trying to find like a middle way in everything.
Yeah,
Being
that's
skillful
good.
about the way you go about things and not doing too much but not doing too little.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Sure. What else? Karin, what do you think about skillful means?
approach it, with wisdom.
Perfect. And so this is where Buddhism, kind of gets into, well, how do you know what's right and how do you know what's wrong? Well, you know it by kind of being open and aware. And so one of the ways that you can approach skillful means is by trying to keep a very positive attitude. Because when you go into something, with a positive attitude, you're really opening yourself to lots of possibilities. Whereas if you go into a situation with a negative attitude, you're almost closing it off. And what I found in myself is that if I really expect the worst to happen, it almost inevitably does.
Self-fulfilling prophecy, baby.
Yes. Yeah. It's almost like you're making it happen. If you really, think that, somebody is out to get you, well, by the time you're done, treating them that way, they're kind of out to get you. Or if you think things are going to go wrong, they almost inevitably do. It's almost like the universe just kind of conspires against you at that point.
Yeah, a good example for me is when it came to like my panic attacks and anxiety attacks, I would worry about having one all the time and when I'm about to go on stage because I performed a lot as a kid or something like that. And I'd worry about it so much to the point where I'd actually end up having one at, whatever I'm doing. And it's like I wouldn't have had one if I, didn't worry and, have so much anxiety to the point where I actually did have an anxiety attack.
Now, are you guys familiar with the whole term catastrophizing?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's where, and you were talking about this as well, like building these just mountains out of molehills where you're, not only you're expecting things to go wrong, but you're expecting them to go horribly, terribly, life-alteringly wrong. And that's panic attacks are really bad about that. In fact, they say panic attacks, is kind of the fear of fear. Like you're so afraid of having a panic attack that you're panicked about panicking. And it just feeds into this cycle where it can just, prevent you from just even functioning. It's really debilitating. So skillful means, and we'll kind of talk about skillful means and unpack it a little bit. Skillful means basically is about going into any situation with an open mind and a good intention. And what that does is it makes you aware of what are all the different possibilities and which is the one or two or several that are actually going to lead to good good outcomes for the people involved. And so you have the intention to be good and to have compassion, and then you have the wisdom to be open-minded and see what the situation actually requires. That takes a lot of practice. And I don't always, I fail at that all the time. But, you just kind of keep at it and you learn, that thing didn't work in that situation, so I'll kind of know better next time. All right? So, yes.
Not every encounter, unfortunately, that we have with someone, they might not be well-intentioned.
No.
And at times, I know I've been blindsided. We all have. We didn't see it coming. And so I think, our brains, they remember that, so we can easily go to that place too. So I think that's where skillful means comes into, to be discerning and going, what is their intention?
Yeah. And, and their intention might be to catastrophize or sabotage or, whatever. And you can, knowing that, you go, well, maybe the best possible outcome is still not a good one right now, but I can at least protect myself from being, dragged into whatever drama is going on. We've all got friends. We know how that works. Yeah. Friend drama. I mean, and for me, of course, I'm dealing with teenagers all day and I see this constantly. And it's really easy for me to sort of separate myself out and say, oh yeah, those teenagers are doing their little teenage thing. But when it's closer to home, it's a little bit harder to not get sucked into the emotional negativity or problems of people that are really close to you. And so you still have to try to use skillful means there, but it just, it takes a lot of effort. This is why diligence is so important. So last thing, and that is a stage of discontentedness. And not being discontent as in dissatisfied, but it means not being satisfied with where you're at on the path. Okay, Buddhism is pretty clear about this. How long does it take you to achieve enlightenment? Lifetime after lifetime after
Myriads
lifetime.
And myriads of kalpas.
Yes, exactly.
Of insurmountable time or whatever it says.
Yes.
It's been a while since I've chanted.
Yes, and there's still the potential for, moments of enlightenment are with us all day, all the time. But it just means don't rest on your laurels. All right. Know that there's always other things that you can do to get a little bit better. And for me, the practice of compassion, I think, is at the core of that. Can I ever be perfectly compassionate? No, I don't think so. I think I'll always need to try to be better and kinder and more loving to everyone around me.
There's always room for improvement in almost every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you should take for granted what skills you've already applied now, too.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't see discontentedness as a reason to not, be proud of yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
Strive for improvement, but don't put yourself down from where you are right now.
Perfect. I know this might surprise you guys, but I do struggle with arrogance sometimes.
No way.
Really?
No way.
Really?
It's my own cross to bear, folks. All right.
Mr. Smartest Man in the room?
We'll probably cut all that. Okay. So diligence, in general, it's sort of the motor of Buddhism. It's the thing that kind of gets you momentum, keeps you going. And, I've been at this for a long, long, long time. Why? Because, I've been diligent, and trying to be a better person. And the payoff is pretty awesome. Buddhism not only helps you be a better, saner person, but it has a positive impact on every one that you touch directly and indirectly. And that makes the world a better place, right?
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, so the next paramita is meditation. Now,
Yay.
so, we talk about meditation. It is definitely central to all Eastern spiritual practices, but on another level, it's just good for you psychologically. And so we'll talk a little bit about both of those things. So the point of meditation is trying to have a quiet, focused, calm mind. And if you get this, what you get out of a calm mind is clarity, seeing the world how it is. Now, how do we distort the world?
Through our own thoughts and emotions
Yes.
and expectations of how things should be.
Yes. I mean, it gets cluttered. So this is why we call it the monkey mind. That's just awesome. All of the different ways that our mind kind of goes off takes us really out of reality, out of the moment, out of time and space. We get in our head. And not only do we get kind of lost in our own head, we start projecting our thoughts and feelings and ideas out on reality, and that distorts it as well. And so what meditation does is get your mind to calm down.
Zen out, man.
Totally. Okay, remember, we are in many ways our own worst enemy when it comes to our thoughts getting in the way of who we are and what we need to do. Meditation is how you train the mind to stop running away with itself, right?
Right.
Okay. So this actually transforms your consciousness. Okay. We all have really bad habits of mind where we tend to go to places we don't want to go to, or we tend to get distracted when we need to focus. All these things get, their own sort of momentum. Meditation slowly and gently over a long period of time retrains your mind so it stops doing that. Now, you guys are young and have very untrained minds right now, but all of us have complained about just how we let our minds kind of get in our way. And so this is a way to kind of retrain your mind so that it's more sane. Okay, so it takes practice, it takes a lot of time, and that's why you need diligence and all that sort of stuff.
And meditation and wisdom
Yes.
and forbearance.
So you need diligence with meditation. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
So they go hand in hand, kind of.
They do.
They're friends.
They are. Got arm in arm.
Yeah. They're
Walking-
holding hands.
Walking down the Dharma way.
They're walking down the Eightfold Path.
Yes,
Dad.
they are. Even though this is kind of the Paramitas. But yes, it's all one thing. Got it.
That's why they're walking the path.
So
It's all one thing.
here is another quote. Only when you find that state of meditation can you see the true aspect of all things and discover the highest and most harmonious ways to integrate them. So let's talk about that word integration. So what does that mean for you?
Kind of make those things a part of our everyday life.
Good. I like that. What else do you think of when you think of integration?
Putting it into practice, putting
Yes.
these ideas.
And so when I think of the word integrate is holistic, that you're like putting everything into this one whole, which is you and your consciousness, basically. And so all the different aspects of your life, whether they're relationships or the financial parts of your life or your education or your work or dealing with cars, all of those things seem like they're separate and often conflicting with each other, right? So,
But Buddhism taught us that everything's connected.
Exactly. But what Buddhism is trying to do is kind of stitch it all together in one interconnected whole that's not in constant conflict. And it's not, how it feels like when, you've got too many things to do and too little time to do it. You just kind of get overwhelmed and crazy and you can't seem to do one thing without another thing falling apart, right? And so meditation is going to help you find a perspective to where those things kind of come together and they're all one thing. It's hard to do. All right. Now, there are lots of different kinds of meditation, but I'm just going to tell you about one of them. That's a real basic one called shamatha.
Ooh.
Shamatha meditation. It's sometimes called follow your breath, but it is a meditation technique that is meant to calm yourself. Okay, and it is a really good thing to do when you're freaking out. For example, so if you're having panic attack or just kind of any anxiety, the first thing you want to do is start monitoring your breathing, right?
It's very easy to start just hyperventilating.
Yeah, so you want to stop that because that's what you want to do. And that's going to set off your sympathetic nervous system and make your heart rate go up and your blood pressure go up. And it's going to send all of these negative hormones into your bloodstream, and it's going to get you all fight or flighty. So you want to calm that down by breathing nice and slow and concentrating on your breath. And so the way I was taught it is this, that imagine that as you are sitting, you're breathing, you're concentrating on your breath, and as thoughts arise, imagine that they are just leaving as you exhale and disappearing. And then you get another thought, and then it just leaves as you exhale. And then there's another thought. And the main thing you're doing, and nobody really explains this, is that you're not judging your thought processes. Okay, now why would you not want to judge what your thoughts are?
Because they're simply just thoughts, nothing else.
Right. And so remember, you're not your mind. Your mind is just something that you do. It's something your brain does. And so your thoughts are not necessarily who you are. They're just something that's happening to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Now, why would you want to not judge them and let them go? What does that do for you?
I mean, it gives them puts a negative, I guess, best word I can think of, outlook, but I guess
Not negative, exactly.
It stops you from judging those thoughts in the future, maybe.
Well, yeah. So they're no longer, have kind of, when they come back, they don't have the same kind of energy.
Yeah, they don't have as much power over you.
Yeah.
there you go. That's kind of where I was going with that.
Yeah, we got this.
Right. That's all really good. So that's all getting at what one of the big functions of meditation is, and that is to deprive thought patterns of energy. By having a neutral attitude, by not judging it positive or negative, and just observing it as if it's something that doesn't even, you're not attaching to it at all, you don't give it energy. So notice that if you have a thought, or let's say you remember something, embarrassing that you did. Okay, what is your normal reaction to that?
Cringe.
Yes, you start cringing, and it's almost like you relive that whole moment all over again. And you have the same emotional reaction, and you get all tied in your chest, and all that sort of stuff happens. And it's like, this is trauma, right? This is how trauma works. You have these flashbacks to these, unpleasant scenarios. What meditation does is just allow you to let go. And what we find is that if you judge the thought, if you say that, oh, that's my brain being bad, stop that, monkey brain, stop it, and you try to knock it back down, you're actually giving it energy. And it'll come right back even stronger. And so what you're doing by letting it go is actually kind of cleaning out your consciousness so that these things don't have so much thought power, and they don't come up in your dreams as much and all that sort of stuff. Does that make sense?
Yes. Definitely.
Okay. All right. So by simply observing these thoughts and feelings without attaching to them, you're kind of emptying out your mind from all of the crap that's buried in there.
Doing some spring cleaning.
Exactly. And that includes all of your traumatic memories from childhood. It could even be things, that go back different lifetimes according to Buddhism. But it also helps you kind of come to grips with your own self and your own mind so that you can accept who you are and what you're thinking. All right, this eventually leads to a more balanced consciousness. And it grounds it in reality. Because then, if all of these thoughts are not taking over your perspectives, then you can actually see reality the way it is. Okay? All right. Now, before we go on, any thoughts on, just kind of the meditation process?
I like it.
Do you guys
plus.
do you guys try to
meditation,
do
you
this?
really go,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
oh, especially when I'm in like a state of panic or I feel like my emotions are unstable in some way. Like maybe I'm not having a good day at work, but I still got to deal with customers. And I'm thinking like, I really want to be mad at you, but I can't. So I'm going to sit here at the host stand and take a couple deep breaths. Even though you're messing up the whole server rotation by wanting to sit at a booth.
That is just evil, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
No. Something I used to do before school, because my panic attacks and anxiety attacks used to be really bad during school.
Yeah.
Is every morning I'd take at least 5 minutes or so before school just to kind of sit in my bed, breathe for a second, get some incense going, just kind of meditate for a little bit. And the rest of my day I'm a lot more calm, I'm a lot less anxious, and I'm zenned out, man.
Totally.
You got your vibes balanced.
Yeah.
Karin, you were talking about, kind of taking a moment every morning to kind of calm down. Is that part of your meditative practice, do you think?
Yes. I try not to pay any mind to the thoughts, because they're, so many of them are intrusive. They they're not welcome.
Yeah,
They just come and they're distracting. And so I just let them go, let them pass like the ripples in the water.
Yeah. So all of this is just practice. Okay. Very few of us can get rid of thoughts entirely. Okay. And that's kind of not the point of meditation. Now, I've been at it a long time. And when I'm like meditating for like 45 minutes or an hour, then, there are moments there where there's nothing happening. And, and you can kind of increase that. But that takes a lot of practice. And that's kind of not the point. But there are lots and lots of benefits of meditation in terms of how it helps you physically and emotionally and mentally, and helps your brain chemistry and all kinds of things. We've talked about that. And so do any of you guys like have like just a sit down? Most of you guys are talking about kind of in the in between moments. You might take a minute to meditate, but do you have like a formal practice?
Not usually, no.
It's all right. I think a lot of people are like that.
I mean, I just kind of sit there. Sometimes I listen to music just without
Sure.
words or anything like that, just to have something in the background so, other random noises don't necessarily distract me. And I'll just kind of like just sit there and breathe. That's kind of my practice.
And it'll really help. You guys were talking about distractions and all of that. I mean, this really helps with being able to focus and concentrate a lot.
I still struggle to focus during meditation.
Yeah, and that
My
is
mind wanders
totally
without
normal.
me wanting it to all the time. So
Well, of course, that's what it does. In fact, the mind doesn't want to be calm.
no.
It's really not into it's like, what do you mean slow down my thinking process? What do you think I'm supposed to be doing? I'm supposed to think. That's my whole thing.
Yeah.
So, you got like, okay. And what I really like about this whole shamatha process is just the gentleness of it. Where and you can take that kind of patience with yourself, and I think it helps me with interpersonal relationships. Like, just the same way that I'm not freaking out about, thoughts are things that kind of pop up into my head, and I've kind of trained myself not to do that. I can do that with other people too. And I can, have a little bit of a gap before I overreact to something someone does or says. And so it helps a lot. Okay, so last point I think to make about meditation is how it helps with intuitive awareness. So intuition, let's kind of define what we mean by intuition. What do you think?
It's kind of like being able to not necessarily know, but like when you have a feeling about something that's going to happen, and it ends up happening because
So you're talking about, intuitive precognition.
yeah,
All right. Sure.
psychic powers actually.
Yes, totally.
Yeah,
I
like
do.
instinctual awareness of how a situation might play out.
think- Okay, so notice I was saying things like feelings and instincts. Okay.
The
what do you-
vibes, man.
Totally. All right. So what do you think, Karen? What is intuition? How do you use it?
I think it's synonymous or goes hand in hand with emotional intelligence. That same kind of mind.
Yeah, and I do think that is part of it. I think all of you guys are talking about different aspects of a phenomena. Basically, intuition is where you know something without having kind of studied it. And it is a form of awareness of, and I think emotional intelligence is a real, part of that. And you were talking about feelings and instincts. And I think it is something where you just have an awareness of what's going on without necessarily having, empirical evidence for why you think that way. And this is something that is actually cultivatable. You can train intuitive awareness, and meditation is a really good way to do that. A lot of times you don't have the time or the opportunity to get all the information you need to suss out a situation. And you're going to have to use your intuition. And especially if you're talking about skillful means, which is like being able to enter into a situation and know what the right thing to do is, intuition is going to be there for you. And so one of the nice things about intuition is that sometimes it can be a trial and error process. Have you ever misjudged somebody where, they just gave you a really bad vibe and then they turned out to actually be kind of cool?
Or other way around.
Most often it's the other way around, and we call those people psychopaths because they're able to trick you into loving them and then they turn on you at the last minute. Not that that's ever happened to me.
Dad, stop bringing your past relationships into the podcast.
Kind of your past relationships too, but
Okay. Okay.
The call out.
so
How'd that happen recently though?
so it is, intuition is not infallible unless you really, really work on it. And so, Karen, do you use intuition like just kind of in interpersonal relationships or, in creativity, for example?
Yes. I try to be in that kind of mindset the majority of the time as much as possible because it's a peaceful place.
I like that, yeah. And so that, I think, is the key to how it connects to meditation. Because meditation puts you in that peaceful place, which means you're very open and aware, which means you can be intuitive without kind of projecting, thoughts and ideas and expectations of the world. So it can be very helpful.
I think you have to put your ego aside to be an intuitive mind.
That is a really important point.
You have to put your ego aside for a lot of Buddhist things.
Kind of for all of it, yeah. It sounds kind of it, yeah. Pretty
Ego
much.
death.
But
Poor ego. We need to be patient with ego. Ego, ego has,
It has a place in the world.
it does. You just
But
can't let it
buddy,
carry
no one
you.
has a separate self.
That is
Truly,
true.
what is the ego in
It
Buddhism?
doesn't exist. So,
I was like,
We should keep that 5-second pause in there.
yeah.
all right. Everybody good with meditation? Because this leads us right into wisdom.
Yeah.
Okay, so wisdom is the core. This is the whole goal. In fact, wisdom is all of it, all wrapped up together.
Okay, so
Intuition, all of it, everything.
even the Eightfold Path? Or?
Eightfold,
Okay.
sixfold, 200 folds, it's all wisdom.
It's all wisdom. So
Yes.
when you unfold it,
It's like
wisdom.
an origami. Yes, it's all wisdom.
Or a kaleidoscope.
Ooh, nice.
oops, all wisdom.
So, insight is sometimes a synonym for it. Knowledge is sometimes a synonym for it. But I think both of those things kind of just capture little bits of it. I think wisdom is the whole thing. It's knowledge, like intellectual knowledge, like book learning, research and science. That's part
Emotional
of wisdom.
knowledge.
It's also emotional knowledge and intuition and creativity. All of that is wisdom. And so it's a very holistic notion. And it is the goal. Once you have wisdom, you see the world the way it really is and what your place is in it. And then you can operate from that point of view. All right? Mm-hmm. So here's a big tricky thing about our form of Buddhism. Wisdom is the ability to see that the world is all one thing and a bunch of separate little things both at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Now, why is that helpful?
Well, sometimes you gotta look at the big picture for certain situations, but also get down in the nitty gritty tiny picture.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Having a bigger general picture of everything puts in perspective of how small you are and everything, and how, sometimes it doesn't really matter. And then
good.
having everything be more bite-sized also helps everything be more manageable.
Ooh, I like that. That's really cool. And of course, if we didn't, even though we say everything is empty and there's no self and blah, 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 those things are all true. But if we lived in a world where we were just kind of, saying that everything's empty of form, we wouldn't be able to function as human beings.
That's nihilism.
Yeah, it kind of is. And so Buddhism is not nihilism. Okay, we're not denying that the world exists or anything of that. About that, we say the world is there. It's full of all these things that are bouncing around. It's all interconnected. There's all these separate objects that are bouncing around. But on another level, they're all one big unified whole. And on another level, they're nothing at all. And so wisdom is being able to kind of zoom in and out of all those perspectives at once. And eventually you see it all together. Like you see it as being unified and separate at the same exact moment. And that's actually helpful.
It's not tunnel visioning on one specific point. It's everything and nothing all at once, so you can take aspects of both of those viewpoints to shape the way you see the world.
Right. And so you feel connected as well as separate. And that's fine, because that's kind of the way the world is. And so as we get into some of the more advanced teachings, then we'll really kind of unpack that. All right, so wisdom for Mahayana Buddhism comes from practicing all the other things that we've been talking about. Meditation and diligence and devotion, and not devotion, but donation and the precepts and all of it combine into wisdom. Now, another thing we should talk about, I think, is the relationship between wisdom and compassion. Okay, so I know that's something that, you guys have talked about maybe in class before. So what do you think about this? Why are both of those things important, and what happens if they get separated?
Well, I mean, you can't really have wisdom without compassion.
Well, sure you could. You could just be,
I feel like that's a little bit more just like you have the knowledge, but do you know how to apply that?
Okay, I like that, sure.
Or it just gives you excuses to be brutally honest.
Oh, yeah, without really caring. It's like, well, I understand the deep, fathomless depths of the universe, and I'm sorry that you don't. Like that kind of thing.
Arrogance.
Because I would never do that.
You'd never do that.
Never, especially in that voice.
Well, maybe not in that voice.
Yeah, probably not. At least not without some reverb.
You can add it in post.
Exactly. So, wisdom can be detached, which means that it can become very self-centered. And that's not the point, at least of Mahayana Buddhism. But let's kind of go the other way, which I think might be a little bit closer to home. What happens if you have compassion but not wisdom?
You become a doormat and you become walked all over, and you're.
Yes.
I see someone who has compassion without wisdom as a little bit more naive to the world.
Yeah, it could be.
You open yourself up to get very, very hurt by people.
Which sucks, but it's true.
Codependency.
Ooh, yeah. All right. So, I think we're all probably speaking from experience, in terms of just kind of, you put your heart out there and you sort of expect someone to respect the fact that you're being open and vulnerable and kind, and expect them to treat you the same way, and they're looking at you. It's like, oh, you've just put your head on a stump, and I've got an axe. Thank you. How convenient for you to have done that for me. Yay. People can be really bad. Okay, so how do you do this? Let's say you've got somebody who's not a very compassionate person, who's not, giving in a relationship necessarily. And so you've got wisdom, you care about them, so you have compassion as well. How do you combine those things into making that relationship more functional, or at least protecting yourself from it?
I mean, call them out on their behaviors sometimes, if possible.
Right, and skillful means would also include how do you call them out?
But I mean, you don't antagonize them through it.
No. You bring it to attention, have a conversation, and set boundaries and come to a compromise.
Yeah, and some people are going to be okay with that, and others are not. And so, what happens when you've made an effort to clarify boundaries and sort of say, hey, this is not functional, and they don't respond very well to that. What do you do?
I mean, if they're not willing to put in the same effort that you're putting in, and they're, not willing to compromise, I guess it's time to move on from the situation and find something that's better for yourself, putting yourself first in that situation.
Let them go.
That might be it. So it's really important to have these two aspects in combination with each other. And compassion can be a form of wisdom because it gets you out of your ego. And when you're doing for others, that you're less likely to distort reality through your own selfishness. So at the same time, though, if you're just being, compassionate without really being aware, it can lead to trouble as well. All right, other examples of how these two things work?
I mean, just compassion without wisdom sets you up for, being taken advantage of, and, putting yourself in like a blind, faith in somebody or, the world around you. And then wisdom without compassion ends up you being a lot more cold and, sets other people up to be hurt by you.
Yeah,
a lot more.
That's a really good way to look at it.
Yeah.
And in Mahayana, these are both core concepts. Karin, did you have something you wanted to add? Okay. All right. So let's talk about conditioning. So this is kind of partially in meditation and partially in wisdom. Conditioning has to do with habits of mind. These things might be just because you were raised a certain way. And you're just used to reacting in certain ways to certain things, because that's how you were brought up before you knew any better. It could have to do with culture. Culture trains you to respond to reality in certain ways. It trains you to prefer some things over others. It creates a value system. And so right about, 16, you start to become aware of all of the ways that society's kind of programmed you, right? And it's a real rude awakening sometimes. Around the same time, you also become aware that your parents are human.
Yeah.
No.
That's kind of, and you start noticing that they make mistakes and
They're
screw
people.
up. Yeah. And it's kind of disillusioning in a way. But then you go, oh, wow, this kind of messed me up. These people in my life and this culture that I'm around, it's not only messed up, it's messed me up too. And then you want to rebel, right? And burn it all down or go to Canada or wherever.
Teenage angst.
Yes.
Bullcrap.
All been there.
Or how would you say it, Dad? Teenage.
Angst.
It's because he refuses to say angst.
It has
like
an
a normal
umlaut.
person.
The A has an umlaut on it. It's angst because it's a German
Not
word.
when we spell it in
Fine. Whatever.
It's the American pronunciation.
Very
As
good.
you can see, if you spell it out on your phone, Dad, it doesn't autocorrect it to the A with an umlaut, meaning in English, in America, we say it as angst.
So the phone's wrong too. All right. So Karin,
He always does.
I mean, you know, we have the benefit of some life experience behind us, but I do know in talking with you that we get really frustrated with cultural norms and how they've affected us. How do you kind of cope with the fact that we live in this kind of conflict-ridden materialistic culture and all that?
Balance. Try to, counter it with the positive, and because it's easy to look at everything through that dark cloud, if you will, of vitriol, and
Yeah.
and it's easy to get sucked into it too. So you just kind of stay true to yourself. Stand in your own power there, and sort it out in your mind, in one's own mind, rational mind, and intuitive mind, and try not to. When I say get sucked into it, get ensnared in, debates of, that,
Oh, I know.
get heated, and,
Yes.
It's not productive. So, but to avoid it is also dang near impossible too, because things come up. So skillful means breathe through it, and keep, one's own dignity, offer that other person grace, allow them to have their opinions, but quite, I don't know, I'm not interested in opinions as much as kindness,
Yeah, I hear you. Kind of speaking of rebellious teenagers, I just had a talk with my dad, and I mean, my rebellious stage is what, about 40 years ago, and we're it's amazing how, even though I don't feel like my beliefs have changed a whole lot since then, how the two of us have managed to find an incredible amount of common ground in our own thoughts. And that, a lot of times I kind of blamed him for all this conditioning. It's like, you brainwashed me, in all these
your
ways.
fault, old
It's
man.
all your fault. And now I feel like there was really a lot of, seeds of kindness and compassion that were planted there from the very beginning that I just didn't have enough perspective to see. And so that's kind of the journey, I think, of spiritual development, of wisdom. You're not trying to just kind of purge all this stuff, but by not giving it energy and by becoming aware of all your conditioning, eventually it stops to, have power over you. And then beneath that, and this is a really important part of Buddhism, is they say once you get rid of the crap, that what's beneath that is actually light. It is your Buddha nature. And so, all of this stuff that screws with us is just, the junk and that's on top of what's really a pure, luminous soul. And that's who we really are. Boy, we should totally end it there, right? But okay. Okay, so out of this,
But there's always more.
out of this actually comes happiness. All right, so we've talked about all of the things that we can do, all the things that we think, and how to kind of bring those into harmony. But really what the point is that how do we become sane people? That, we're not messing with ourselves, we're dealing with a dysfunctional world in a functional way. And out of that, we get, if not happiness in this, happy, joy way, but rather this kind of serenity and contentment that we can carry with us through our whole lives. And so Buddhism is going to say unhappiness comes from desires, and once we kind of get our desires for things to be different and kind of bring them home, then that helps us. And the other thing that it says is that it's really through compassion that we become happy. That when we're living for ourselves, that is a recipe for misery. And so, in conclusion, all of the paramitas, all of the Eightfold Path, as I've said before, are literally all aspects of one thing. Now, you could call that wisdom, but really it's the Buddha way.
So
Okay.
Buddha way is wisdom.
Yes, exactly. And so all of this is there to kind of help us figure it out. All right. There are times when I just really need to work on speech. What are the right words to use right now? There are other times when I really just need to sit down and work on meditation. There are other times when I need to be generous, when you can focus on different things. But for me, they're all integrated together, and they're part of an attitude and a way of being in the world. And so all of that gets encapsulated in the Paramitas, the Eightfold Path, the Four Noble Truths, and all of that is wisdom. And this helps not only enlighten us, but it provides inspiration. It gives us motivation. It helps us get through really, really tough times. It helps us when we get really hard on ourselves. It helps us when our friends are being complete a-holes. It helps us through really difficult financial times to know that even though my life might be crap right now, beneath that crap, there is light. And if you believe that that light is there, all you have to do is open your eyes and you see it everywhere.
It helps our overall sense of well-being.
Yes. And it helps us just kind of see that this world is not this horrible, terrible, fallen place that we're just thrown into as a kind of hell that we're just supposed to, make our way through and survive. It is actually a beautiful, wonderful place full of incredible spiritual potential. And so this helps us reach our potential and find meaning and purpose in life.
Yay.
Well, guess what? We got through all of the Paramitas. Can you believe it?
That only took us, three episodes?
Yeah, we were able to cover 8 things in 3 episodes before, but now we covered 6 things in 3 episodes. That's because we have so much wisdom to bring. So, surely we remember what we just talked about. What were the 3 Paramitas we just talked about? Do you remember?
Diligence.
All right, what is diligence?
It is basically all about intention of how we go into things and putting effort into the things that we do. And right?
Yes, right. It's
Yeah,
right. It's
right.
right effort. Yes.
The 3 types of diligence are armor-like diligence, diligence of applied work, and discontentedness.
Nice. Oh, all right.
You can learn.
Okay.
Hey.
Oh,
Hey.
totally cute. All right. Anyway.
We love you.
Yes, that's so true. That's what people say after they've insulted you, so that you don't get mad.
Can you get mad
Well-
at this face?
Yeah, I can actually.
It's
But
hard.
will
It's
you
harder
get
than
mad
it
at
looks.
this face?
All right.
Yes.
So, what was the next one?
Meditation.
All right. What about meditation?
Meditation is the process we use to try to calm down our mind and oftentimes give us a more positive outlook on our own thought processes
So you're calming down the monkey mind.
and the bear brain.
But wait, we don't have a bear sound. Okay,
That was a
and
frog.
then the last one.
Wisdom relies on insight and intuition, and it helps us be happy in our overall well-being and
Nice.
reach out for our potential, find meaning and purpose. And it goes hand in hand with compassion.
Beautiful. And that is our episode for today.
Woo!
Thank you all for listening to the Bloomin Bodhisattva podcast, brought to you by the Risha Kosei-kai Dharma Center in Oklahoma City. And stay tuned for the next episode when we talk about
The 12-link chain of dependent origination.
So we're adding a chain to the path, to the paramitas, to the Buddha nature.
Yes.
man.
Until then, our fellow Bodhisattvas,
Keep on blooming!